Gotcha. All right. This is William Thomas Jr. We are here today for a joint Budget and Finance and Planning Committee meeting. We'll start with the first component, which is the Budget and Finance Committee meeting today. I would like to ask for Ms. Anderson, if you would open us up, please.
In a word of prayer, right?
Yes, please.
Which would be great. Cause I do that for my shops I'm having. Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing us all back here together. Lord, please let us lead us and guide us to make corrections, benefit the members of or the members of the community of all of our areas of Hillsborough County. Help us to and guide us to do what is proper and right, to help us and guide us to just dig in there and just make things possible where things seem so possible in the times that we're living in right now, in the climate that we're living in. And please, Lord, bring peace upon this nation right now. We need it so badly. And let all sides come together in love and harmony. In Jesus' name, amen.
Yeah. Okay. I would like to go ahead and start with if we may, I know it's not on the agenda as well, but start out with a Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone would just put their hands across their heart and follow with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. In light of Veterans Day coming up, I just thought that'd be a good order. So I'd like to go down quickly with a roll call introductions. I'll just scroll down what I see on my side here. Obviously myself, William Thomas. We have Derek Aguida here. We have Miss Lattimore, AKA, what is that, AKA Cheryl? Okay, AKA Cheryl today. Miss Christine Long, Jennifer Anderson, Kelly Mastrada, Miss Sedano, Boston Sedano.
I'm present.
Okay, yeah, Maria Gillis and Sharon Gord. Okay, and I believe that I catch everybody. I believe that's everybody, right? So we're gonna jump right on in to the I have a motion from someone. Anybody want to give me a motion?
Well, is it just me or did he stop?
No, I'm here. Can you hear me? Yeah.
You can cut out for a second.
Okay. All right. I'll repeat it again. Just let me know.
Yeah, everybody else was still moving. And you were like, on my.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Repeat it.
Can you hear me, Jennifer?
Okay, now, yeah.
Yes, we can.
So I'm going to go while we still got smooth sailings going. I'm looking for a motion on the agenda, items A through H.
Motion to accept the agenda.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Okay, so for motion by Jennifer Anderson, second by Ms. Lattimore. Any discussion? All's in favor, aye.
Aye. Aye.
All's in favor, nay. All right, motion carries, accepting of the meeting agenda. All right, let's dive right on in. I'm sure everybody got the attachments, correct? So we'll jump straight into item E, the 2020 CSBG budget review. For those of you that have it, if you'll notice, note on the columns for the monthly budget, this is for the direct client assistance for the month of, I'm just going to pull this thing up here because I have my PDF file up here, for the month of September. And I have the grant year expired at 50%, grant year remaining at 50%. Just a couple of things I asked for the members to just look at, just so we can note for the record that we did, do due diligence and look at the actual direct client assistance report. I look for under the column of month budget and month actuals. I'd ask for those committee members to take note of the amounts compared to last month. There have been some expenditures. I believe the month actuals were the same. And Kelly, if she's in, she can correct me on that, or Sharon Gorn, or any of the staff can correct me. But it appears to me that the month actual amounts are the same for September as they were for August. And if that's the case, I don't have any additional questions other than I see the online under the education assistance. And I ask for staff just to make sure I'm reading it correctly. Under year-to-date expenditures on the education assistance line, I see 2,863.08, and I'm assuming that's a typo. Staff chime in.
This is Kelly Mistretta. I'm just pulling up I only had the September pulled up. I'm pulling up the August now so I can compare to see if they're the same or
Okay.
the different. But for the education assistance, the year-to-date expenditures is as of September 30th was $8,400.06.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So that from the 24, I see the month budget, the actual 500, and subsequent 27. So that are we going to be on course for hit that mark?
I would defer to Ms. Gordon. She does the programming. I can just only report what's actually been paid.
Yes, hi, this is Sharon. Yes, we started meeting with the school board at least once a month, and we are receiving referrals. For our invoicing process is invoiced every 3 months. So right now we are processing payments. So what you see on the report are basically payments that have been cleared, and Ms. Mistretta could chime in that process. So not necessarily payments that are in process, but payments that have been cleared. Did you want to add to that, Kelly?
Kelly, I'm sorry.
This is Kelly. No, that's when I pull what's been paid, because this is a cost reimbursement grant. And so when I pull monthly reports and submit reimbursement reports, I only go by what's actually been paid. So that's why I had deferred to Sharon, because I do not do programming. So I don't know what's actually been committed or what their conversation is with the school board as to estimates as to what they spend. I can only tell you what has been paid and what has been claimed to the state of Florida for reimbursement.
And
Okay.
just to add that the technical school programmings are seasonal. Approximately 50% of our referrals are GED and ESOL, which is a significantly lower cost than a regular technical program. You're talking like $55 for GED. So, but now that the technical program school year has opened, we expect more invoices. So.
Okay. All right. Well, appreciate the input, staff. Just again, I think the consensus, and the rest of the board can correct me if I'm wrong, it's just we want to make sure that we're not running into whatever steps we can take or help out to ensure we don't run into a problem at the end of the year, the funding year, where we have to scramble, obviously, and spend funds or find ways.
Am I the only one losing him?
Well, if you don't spend it, yeah, then they'll feel as though you don't deserve it or need it the following year. Any other questions from the board regarding the financial report for direct client services? Okay, I'm not sure. Go ahead.
Excuse me just a moment, Mr. Chairman. Is it my computer or is he keep buffering?
There might be some buffering going on in light of I guess I would defer to the weather maybe. That we might have some buffering things going on.
Okay, I didn't know because I keep losing you. That's why I was asking.
All right, so I was asking if there are any questions regarding the direct client assistance report that's shown on the screen.
No, thank you very much.
All right. Excuse my my mind. I'm not sure. Do we need a motion to approve the report? I'm assuming we do. Ms. Gordon? I'm off beat my parliamentarian procedures today.
And
Didn't have my
actually, I'm sorry. I'm going to defer to there. I believe in an email we cannot vote during committee meetings. I don't know if this is because we're meeting virtually.
Yes, that is correct. Unfortunately, because we don't have an in-person quorum, a vote cannot be taken.
Outstanding. I totally understand. All right. So that makes our meeting a little easier. It's just more information sharing, and we can move it along and then prepare for the next time we meet in person to have a quorum and vote without a lot of discussion involved. Okay. Well, if that's I guess we'll go right on down to the CARES budget review attachment. For those of you who have, I'm hoping that everyone's read that. The CARES Act budget review.
Mr.
Are
Thomas,
there any questions from the board or those committee members that are here attending regarding the CARES funding, direct client assistance?
Mr. Thomas, this is Kelly.
Yes.
I was looking at the August budget and it compared to the September, and it looks like that my September budget pulled over the August numbers and the formulas didn't update.
Okay.
So the September budget, actually, there was less spent. So I'm glad that you caught that.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and email it over to Derek now.
Okay.
I don't know if you want him to put it on his screen. so that he
If you can, like I said, I just like to. We're good on time. Yes, if we can, just for the note of transparency, I appreciate it.
Okay, it's going to take me just a few minutes to update my
Okay.
formulas.
Well,
but I'll
can
send
we just go ahead and move on the CARES while you do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank
All right,
you.
so for the committee members that are attending, we have the CARES funding, direct client assistance. As you can see, some money is being spent in this area. So are there any questions regarding the CARES funding, direct client assistance? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
So this is Osea. I guess I'm a little, I'm good. I'm trying to go between 2 pages here.
Okay, all right. Like I said, there's no such thing as a erroneous question. So please, if you have anything you're not understanding, by all means.
So we're looking at the $1.2 million at the bottom.
Yes.
And I'm looking to, do we know how the money was spent between the last time and this time?
All right. So if memory serves me correct, and I know the CARES funding, I'm looking at my last month's sheet. That was when some of the money started showing up under the month budget. Excuse me. Excuse me. But it looks like, like I said, there was a slow start, but the invoices are starting to come in. And again, as I look at the 805, like the top line of the crisis assistance, you had 805 and now it's 770. So they just started getting invoices coming in last month with the, they had a subsequent month budget, but the actual expenditures are only 34,000 if I'm understanding that correctly. So out of the 1.2 million in funding that's available, the only expenditure they've gotten an invoice on, and I'm assuming if I'm correct, and paid out on this is the $34,894.47. And to my understanding, the funding cycle for this CARES funding is longer. There's a longer period of time to expend those funds versus the direct client assistance funding that we get, which I believe is due next year, early spring. I don't know if that helps clear it up a little bit.
Well, it does clear it up, but maybe I'm getting this funding confused with another funding, but I thought we had to have so much spent by the end of this calendar year.
Okay,
So
you're absolutely right.
Hello?
I lost him too.
Sounds probably out. Let me know when my sound comes back in.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah, the sound is
Yeah,
out. Can you hear me?
you're in now. Yes, we didn't
Yeah.
catch what you said.
Okay, I was just saying, yeah, the sound was going in and out. So when I point to my ear, it sounds like I know the sound's buffering. So just let
Okay.
me know if you can hear me again. All right, so last portion that I caught was the difference between the two funding buckets. One is the grant fiscal year 20, direct client services. That, you're right, those funds need to be expended. We had a concern among the board members of making sure we spent those funds as necessary before, I believe it is February or March of next year. Now, the CARES Act funding, which is the sheet we're looking at now, that has a longer reporting period.
Okay.
So I believe we have a longer time frame to expend those funds. If I'm answering it correctly, the bucket of money, for lack of a better word, that we want to make sure we address before the end of the year is the fiscal year 20 direct client services page. And direct client assistance amount on the bottom of that page is $1,014,920.
Okay. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. And staff, correct me if I'm off beat.
You are correct, Mr. Thomas. And just to point a date for the CSBG CARES, it ends September 30th, 2022.
Okay, thank you. So two different pots of money. One is due next spring, the other is due 2022. CARES funding is due 2022. Are there any questions, any hand waving? I know because we're buffering. Any hand waving on questions? No? All right, I see a nod. Nope, I'm the same way. All right, well, let's move right on along then. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm going to share you the screen with the updated report that Kelly just emailed me, so you all can have it.
Okay.
Hold on. No update. It's for some to add. I'm sending it.
I think our problem, William, is this beautiful weather we're having in Plant City.
Oh yeah, I'm just looking at the weather outside.
The tropical storm.
Now, on a side note, if I can share, while I was attending the conference last week, just for comical note, while they pull that up, I went down to use up. It's not well, they call them timeshares, but I had some time left on a resort, so I went to Weston, Florida, and so we got chased out of town yesterday morning because of the Hurricane Ida. And that was very ironic because I had to strategically time when I was going to leave. I chose not to go across Alligator Alley because the storm was coming that way. It was encompassing the entire South Florida area. But we left about 6. We were in front of the storm as it shipped us up to Palm Beach. And then I was able to outrun it while I was obeying the speed limit. I'll say that for the record. I was obeying the speed limit. I was able to get past the storm at Palm Beach and beat it out and then get here before, of course, it decides it wants to bring some of our lovely weather here today and through the rest of the week. So, yeah, that was fun. Definitely fun. All right,
Okay, Mr. Thomas, this is Kelly.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Kelly.
Derek is sharing the updated budget. On the one that you have, the year-to-date expenditures that we discussed, they were correct. The only column that did not pick up the actual correct amounts was the month actuals.
Okay.
So that column has been updated.
Gotcha. All right. So, Ms. Lattimore, I know you were talking about the difference between the two. This is going back to this is the funding bucket that we want to keep an eye on to make sure we're expending before next spring. And as Kelly noted out, there was a update to the actual column.
Mr. Thomas, Mr. Chair, this is Ms. Rosa.
Yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to, confirm that we have $600,000, a little over $600,000 still on the table to be expended by March?
That is correct. That is correct, Mr. Chair. So, and I guess that's part of the conversation that can transition into the planning committee that'll be coming up shortly. Is we can make a mental note that yes, that $600,000 is sticking out. Two, I know obviously there are a couple of proposals. Last time I was told that we had made decisions.
Excuse me, this is Osir. Before we move on, is it possible for us to put on the report like the date, the date, the 2021 date, and the
are behind, right? We're not behind in a negative way, but go ahead.
Yes, so I was asking if there's right at the top where we have on the reports where we have month report, grant year expired, grant year remaining, can we actually put the month and the year of the actual grant so that we'll know that, okay, September 2022 is when this is supposed to expire or whatever. So that, I mean, we can add and calculate it, but it would be better just to have everything visually there.
Okay, so on the CARES funding piece sheet, adding a term date or due date of completion, if staff could consider that, we'd appreciate it.
It is actually already on the report. If you look at the very bottom where it says total CSBG. And I have
that's right. I see the year. Okay, I see the time frame. All right. Okay.
I can bring that to the top if you'd like.
Yeah, if you don't mind, or we can just highlight it maybe.
Okay.
Just so it kind of sticks out. Because again, I think it's like I said, the board just wants to make sure we do due diligence in helping with that effort. Sure, we're not doing anything on our end to put staff in a bind. I mean, you guys already got your hands full. So I think always making sure we do what we can to ensure those funds are expended definitely helps the big picture.
Yes, that's fine. Highlighting will be fine.
So, Mr. Chair, hi again. So with that, Kelly, I'm looking at the regular budget, the regular CSBG budget, and it says 50% of the grant year still remaining. So if we're looking at March, that's not 50% still. That needs to be updated.
This report is through September 30th. Because of the way that these meetings are now held, the September report was due on October 21st. So it's the report that has the expenditures through October would not be due until November 21st. So the report for this one was through September 30th, which would have been the halfway point of the grant.
Okay, all right. So we're looking at it from grant term, which is okay. So I guess what I want to make clear is, even though we at the 50% mark, March is coming really, really fast, and $600,000 on the table is a lot of money. Because might as well say we're in December, so we're about 4 or 5 months out to spend this whole $606,000. So that's where my concern was with the question. And I know we have budget and finance coming up probably next, but has there been any changes in the update? Do we anticipate, Mr. Chair, and I'm sorry, I don't want to take your place.
No, I'm fine. I am totally fine.
Any concerns with us being able to expend these dollars by the end of the grant year?
Hi, Ms. Hill, this is Sharon. This actually goes into the planning and evaluation, but if you want to discuss it now, we could. Okay, Ms. Anderson.
I am fine with that. I think
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I don't want to overstep planning and evaluation, so I will hold off until the next call. Thank you. Sorry.
All right, I'm gonna yield. Like I'm gonna chime back in and yield, but again, want to circle back to the regular funding for direct client assistance with the updates that were noted. And again, just make a note for our board members of the remaining funds, the remaining balance, that 600,000. Make a note of that, because again, I think it would be good for the board to make sure we do whatever we can throughout the various committees to ensure that that doesn't become an issue come March the 31st, 2021. So please make a mental note as we transition into the next committee meeting. I have no issue at all. I think the big picture is what we need to be looking at. So are there any questions before we close out on this form? Any questions regarding the direct client assistance for the grant year 20 that is the funding is due to be expended March 31st, 2021? Any questions from anyone?
Mr. Chair, this Ms. Rosa, just one more question. Has the advisory boards exhausted their $6,000, and is that going to show up on next month's report, or are we still pending them spending their money?
Staff?
Those are still pending, with the exception of the Southeast, Ms. Anderson's advisory council. We did receive the invoice for lots of hugs. That's correct. Yes.
Yes.
So it's the only one so far that's complete.
I get the gold star. Or we get the gold star.
This is Maria. I maybe have a recommendation that would be helpful to the board. These reports really lag because it's when we pay things, and because of the Prompt Payment Act, we have 45 days to pay. So really, when you're looking at these, you know, we're already way far into the next month. Maybe a recommendation could be that maybe not for publication, but maybe for these conversations, we as staff maybe can have a projection of what the actual month expenditures are looking like. And that way it would give a true picture. Because at this point, you're really looking at what we already paid, and we've already gone through an entire month that we know we've made expenditures. Because if you look at that crisis program, that 90,000, I know for a fact that that money is no longer there. But I think it would be helpful to the board if we could maybe give you a projection. It wouldn't be to the penny, but maybe we can give you some numbers or kind of a comfort level, maybe for the next meeting.
This is William. I wanted to chime in as well. I think the Skills. Thank you for the explanation. I think you hit it on the head where the board, as Ms. Hill kind of pointed out, we are looking at, yeah, it would be great to have that type of information. We're not looking for something to the penny. I believe I have an understanding that the invoices do lag, for lack of a better word, not in a negative way, but they are slow to come in. But I think we also, as a board, what raises the concerns we look at, though we understand, you know, expenses go up and down, we're looking at, you know, since beginning of this year. And when in light of COVID, there's definitely some uncertainty. We realize that, but we are looking at patterns. And you're right, it would be helpful to have some sort of general idea of what's coming through the pipe. Because again, the board's consensus and feeling, and I agree, is we just don't want to be put in a situation, a particular situation where, you know, funding is left over, and where you have a tendency to put yourself in a bad place when that happens. So I appreciate if you would provide some projections. I wasn't expecting to be down to the penny accurate, but again, I do understand the concerns from the committee side too, that we want to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. And the only reason why I said not to actually send out a report is because the regulations that we have to provide to DEO are very strict on what we have to provide to you as a board. So we will continue to provide this report because it is what has been paid. But I think I will work with Sharon and Kelly to come up with something that will give us, like I said, just a projection, just to give this committee a sense of security that we're on the right track. And if we're not, then we can make some decisions. But like I said, I don't want to really send anything out because then it becomes a record. And so, but I think giving you guys a comfort level and letting you know where we're at and where we expect to be, I think will give this committee a comfort level. And also you as committee chair then can go back to the board and kind of give them a comfort level also.
Okay, thank you. Is a verbal update that like we're doing here verbally, not necessarily. I wouldn't look for a report either because you're right. You don't want to cast uncertainty when you're doing something written, but I definitely think a verbal update on what potentially could be coming through the pipeline. I'm not quite sure if that would put you in a corner. I think it wouldn't.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is what we can do for the next meeting is go through each line item. And of course, you'll have your month actuals, which is on your report. And then what we could do is say I'm going to just use October since it's not on here. So for the October projections and we'll give you October projections for self-sufficiencies, October projections for education. The only thing that we will not be able to do is those expenditures that we are billed for by an outside vendor that does it quarterly. That one is a little bit more difficult, but we can, verbalize that and kind of go through it and give you a comfort level. I just think that if we talk through it, as Ms. Hill has pointed out, if we can talk through it and kind of, discuss where we're at, and it's not going to put us in a weird spot at the end of the grant year, I think that's good for staff and for the board.
All right. Ms. Hill? I'm deferring to Ms. Hill, if you're listening.
Yes, sir, Mr. Thomas, Mr. Chair. No, I'm fine with that. Actually, when I sat in the seat, can you hear me? When I sat in the seat, they did a separate little printout for me prior to the meetings where I was able to see. So I don't know, that'll probably be beneficial for you as well.
And that's kind of what I was thinking about, Ms. Hill. Basically, the conversations that you would have with staff and you would ask the questions and we would kind of give you where we were at and what the projections were. And I think that would be helpful, especially since this committee now is robust and everyone can kind of hear the same conversation.
Mr. Thomas,
I had a little bit of buffering going on, but I'm okay.
Mr. Thomas,
Ms. Lattimore, I know you had brought it. Any questions or follow-up comments?
No,
Ms. Lattimore, you brought up some good points.
Yes, no, I'm good with that. Yes, thank you.
Ms. Sedano, I ain't picked on you yet. You good?
I'm good, sir.
All right, Ms. Long?
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and close the book on these two forms. If you like, to staff, I know after this we have the updates. I don't know if it would be good to combine them. I have no problem yielding to the next committee meeting to combine those comments. But if there's something you think in particular to the Budget and Finance Committee that you need to report on, I'm all ears.
Yeah, yes, this is budget. It's just a blurry line between the two committees. So, and I haven't had an opportunity to speak with Ms. Anderson. This morning, we actually met with Parks and Recreation, and there are funds that will need to be moved, approximately $28,550 due to COVID. They were not able to serve what they had projected to serve in the summer school. So that is an area of discussion.
Could you repeat that amount again, Sharon? I apologize.
$28,550.
Thank you.
That is the main area. For education assistance, we'll definitely have to do a projection for the regular CSBG cares. There is quite a bit of money left. So I will definitely look into realistically what we can do.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
That is all that I have in regards to the anything that's moving around for the budget. And there's still we have to do like a budget mod. So you'll see, and I'm sorry, Kelly, would you prefer to speak on this? I don't want to go into your area, but there's the 17,500 that still has to be moved. I think the board voted to move education assistance to cover that excess that was used to cover that additional 17,500. And I'll stop there unless Ms. Mistretta wanted to add to that.
I don't have anything to add regarding the modification. There was a return of a check from HCC for a student who did not attend college. So that 17,500 will actually be reduced by 2,500 because I received the check and deposited it back into the grant.
So just a note for the committee members and those in attendance today that there's going to be an adjustment regarding a return of $2,500. And that can be, I'm sure staff will come up with some innovative ways as well as the committees. So just make an asterisk note regarding that. That funding be applied somewhere else. All right, if there aren't any more questions regarding budget and finance, if that's the case, I'll go to the good of the order. Again, circling back, Jennifer, I see you showing up and speaking. Or that, no?
That was
good.
correct.
Okay. All right, so I will go ahead and conclude the Budget and Finance Committee meeting and yield the floor to you, Ms. Anderson.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. All right, call to order. We're there. Introductions. I don't think we've had anybody. I haven't seen anybody enter the room, so I think we're still dealing with the same glorious people we were in the budget and finance group. So the approval of that. So we need the approval of the agenda. That's what I need is everybody to approve the agenda for me.
Madam Committee Chair, I would make a motion that we approve the agenda as submitted.
And I'll second
the motion.
Christine.
And I have first Mr. Thomas, second Ms. Long, and so I just need all those in favor.
Well, it's just a superficial vote, but aye.
All right, well, you know, I'm sorry, I'm used to having 23 people. You need to get out of the habit.
Yeah, we can't officially vote, I was told earlier.
Sorry about that. It's just habit.
Yes.
You know, habits die hard there. Okay, so we'll move on to the let's see, E 2020 SPG Program Updates. Sharon, bail me out here. Ms. Gordon.
Okay. So we will, okay, this is the 2020. I'm trying to pull up, I closed out the document. Now I'm trying to pull it up. Bear with me because I'm just going to go line by line. As you see, for the Family Empowerment Self-Sufficiency Program, our customer base has increased, and these are active participants. So at our last report, our highlights report in October, we have 70 active families. That does not mean that that's the total number of families we've served during this grant period. We've served more than that. But currently we have 7 active families, 70, and we are getting additional referrals. So that number actually is higher. So in the November report, you should see an increase with that. Education assistance, we meet with the school board regularly due to the virtual process, and we're hashing out the referral process. And like I said, 50% of our referrals are ESOL and GED, and the other percent is when I did an evaluation of the referrals that we received, it was 48% at that time, but it's very close. For supportive services, we there's expenditure that may have gone Not sure, but we're spending down on that, obviously. The community food pantries, so far there have been 4 events, 2 in September and 2 in October. And the others are scheduled. We actually shared that in the last board packet, the schedule that the Community Action Board is sponsoring. I already discussed Parks and Recreation, that approximately $28,500 will need to be rebudgeted to another program. So actually, Ms. Gillis was in that meeting, so she may want to add to that if you want.
Yeah, definitely. What we've been doing is we've been meeting with Parks and Rec at least, every couple of weeks just to get a feel what's going on. Staff was not willing to pull dollars away if there was children that could benefit from the after school and summer dollars that we have in there. So we've been meeting with them regularly, and today we came to the agreement that they could project what their expenditures would be and what would be left over. We did give them a commitment that if things were to change in the next couple of months, which it may, everything is so fluid right now, and there would be a need, parks go back to normal or things go back to some type of normalcy, that we would come back to the board and discuss funding them to the full capacity that we have them currently. But at this time, we didn't want money to sit in a bucket that they were not sure that they could spend. So we had that discussion with them today. They were very thankful that we've been so proactive with them, and we told them that we would bring this information to the board today.
Okay.
Moving forward, the advisory projects are in progress, and as I mentioned, we received the invoice for Lots of Hugs in the Plant City area. Scholarships, that bucket of funding is spent. Youth development, we're in the process of executing the contract with the school board, the EPIC program. That's approximately $35,000. So there still is a remaining bucket of money after that $35,000 is taken from the $61,000. The board has not voted for the remaining balance. So there still will be a balance after the contract is executed. So there's unplanned funding available in that bucket. And then the crisis program, I'm sorry, stop there.
I'm sorry. Before you move on, back to scholarships, could you explain to me what the negative is for the $17,500 on scholarships? What's going on there?
Yes, the board approved to fund all of the scholarship, all of the applicants who were eligible for the scholarship. So that actually put us over $17,500 in the bucket that was originally allocated.
Okay.
We haven't completed the modification to DEO. So once that modification is complete, that number will be updated.
Okay, thank you.
And Sharon, excuse me, on that note, the $2,500 that's coming back to that line item, it'll be going back where? Where did we pull the 17.5 from? Where is that 2,500 going back to?
I believe that is coming from education assistance.
Okay, so the 2,500 will go back up to where we have the projected 163.
Correct. And I'll ask Ms. Mistretta to just confirm that.
Originally, the 17.5 was going to come out of the youth development.
Okay.
Activities. So the 17.5 was coming out of that when a modification since a modification has not yet been submitted. When I deposited the check in October, so it would be showing in the October report, I put it back in that education line. So next month's report for October, it would just show that it's 15,000 overspent at this time.
Okay, so it's 15,000 overspent with the 2,500 going back to education assistance.
No,
Right.
the 2,500 is going back into the scholarship line item.
Okay,
And the original modification, nothing was coming out of education assistance. The board originally voted to take money out of the youth development because the summer program, the College Explorers program did not happen. So the original motion was to remove the needed funds out of the youth development line item and put them into scholarships.
Okay, so when the modification is done, we'll have $2,500 still left in that scholarship line item.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get. I was trying to clear that up to see where that money was going to be. Okay, so we'll have $2,500 there to spend in the scholarship line.
Yes, and when we do the modification, we normally would just put that as an equal line. Whatever spent, it would be 210,000 spent now. So we would just show the budget as 210,000, the expenditures 210,000. So that $2,500 we need. Technically, it would go back into the College Explorers activity lines for now, but that would need to be voted on how you want to spend that $2,500.
Okay, you lost me there for a second, but okay. I'll work it out.
Even with that, there will be a balance after the 17,500 is taken out of the youth development category. There will end the 35,000 from Epic. There will be a balance that is unplanned. Did we want to add to that, Kelly, or?
If I may, just a suggestion, because I think it makes more sense. Kelly, if you can, even before the modification is done, if you can clean this up to show the 0 on the scholarships and subtract it out of the youth development as it was voted on, and then maybe put an asterisk on the bottom, just with the explanation, so that way it doesn't look like there's an overage, because there's really not an overage when you take it from the other box. I think it would make more sense.
Okay, I can update that.
I know that this is accounting 101, but for those of us who, like me, who have a hard time figuring this stuff out, if we could do it like that, I think it would, it would actually give us a picture, as I think Ms. Hill's going towards, is how much we got left.
Okay, I can do that.
And then for the crisis programs, we're spent. I know it looks different, but during the past couple of months, we've definitely went through that funding due to the COVID. A lot of people needed assistance for relocation and other safety net services.
Chair, Jennifer, I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Would it be feasible, since we are zeroing out the crisis programs line, just to give the board just a brief synopsis, not numbers, not dollar amount, of what services we provided as far as crisis? Just because I anticipate that question coming from other board members. Can we do that?
Are you asking me this?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, Madam Chair, I'm trying to respect the seat.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I thought you were asking me where they spent it. I don't know. I think that's a good idea, because I'm sitting here going, all right, there's $90,000. Where'd it go? I would ask that, and I think I would like to see it myself. And I know that anybody's going to ask that. So I think that would be an excellent idea if we could tell the board, well, we're zeroing out 90,000, and they're going to go, okay, well, where did it go? And so I think it would be an awesome idea if we had in writing, detailed where that money went. Absolutely.
Madam Chair, if I may, that's a great suggestion for staff to provide some feedback on where those crisis dollars went. And as we move forward, I just would not be a good staff member if I wouldn't say how much those dollars meant to the community and how much more we need. With the R3 dollars being expended and the CARES money flying through the door, we're still daily, I at least get 10 to 12 calls a day of individuals who are being evicted and their things are out on the porch, and having those crisis dollars to be able to assist and kind of get them where they need to go has been monumental. So I would hope that the board going forward would look at maybe putting some more of these dollars into a bucket like that where we can assist more families. There's so many homeless people going to be on the street. I mean, it's amazing.
And nobody, and I don't mean to be, act like I'm like the guru, and please don't think that, but I don't think anybody at this particular group appreciates that more than myself, Ms. Gillis, because I deal with that every day. I had a young lady this morning call me crying hysterically because she's having to move or pay her rent or move. She has to have $1,200. Her mother had COVID. Her husband, who works, was exposed. He was quarantined, went back to work. One of his coworkers got it, had to be quarantined. This guy's been quarantined for 6 weeks. He can't work. They have no rent money. And the only thing I could do was say, call this number. I mean, what do I do? And so therefore, I'm sure that people just like her have called you. That was probably, I didn't tell them to call you, Ms. Gillis, please understand. I gave them the regular number. I didn't say, here, call Maria Gillis, but had them, call the regular number. And I'm sure that, those are the type of calls you're getting every day going, please help me. I don't know what to do. I mean, because this poor guy's been in quarantine 3 times in a row, literally in the last 6 weeks. It seems like he's like a positive COVID magnet. He hasn't actually gotten it, but he's had to be COVID quarantined and he can't work, and he's breadwinner. So I'm sure I understand exactly what you're saying. And this is a family of 7 that's going to be homeless if something doesn't happen. It's not his fault.
Well, I totally agree with you. Not to cut you off, I actually had to deal with a family over the weekend with 5 children, husband and wife, so household of 7. And they literally came home. They had gone to the grocery store to purchase a couple of things, and when they came back, they were locked out. And the only money that they had was to, get a hotel room for the night. So, anything that we could do for these people who are constantly, in this crisis would be amazing. The stories are getting sadder and sadder, and I mean, it's awful. So
and believe me,
anything that the board can do would be amazing for these people that we're getting. And unfortunately, it's not, I was hoping that it would be a few. It's growing. The numbers are growing.
And we have a new spike. And Ms. Gillis, you hit the nail on the head. My homeless numbers are growing. We're serving more and more. You're absolutely
yes. Ms. Anderson, could I make a suggestion?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you guys are right on target. The crisis programs are going to be stretched to the max here in the next few months for sure. And I would recommend that as we figure out how much funding may be available left in this budget, rather than take applications for new projects, that we transfer funds to the crisis program.
Well, I'm going to agree with you, Ms. Long, absolutely, except for we also have to keep in mind that some of these programs, we need to look at proposals that are going to benefit these families in crisis, because there are some proposals coming up. We have one right now on the table that is going to be benefiting these families. I know there's a couple more going to be coming, and you guys, and this is something I want to kind of, take a rabbit hole here for a second. I'm looking towards, as the committee chair, I'm looking towards the board to go into your communities and know your people and understand that there are programs out there that can give relief to these families that are in crisis, and try to get them to bring these proposals so we can help these communities, because there are proposals that will give relief, and then, like you said, in addition, use the extra funding for crisis money if that is an option. And I'm sure if we're in the wrong direction, but I totally agree with you. But I think that there's proposals also. We got parents can't go back to work because they don't have childcare. But if they had an after school or a summer program where the children could go so that they could go back to work, so they could become self-sufficient, those are proposals we need to be looking at.
Yeah, yes, I'm wondering if the CARES, we have a lot of money we set aside in the CARES budget, which has not really been allocated yet to programs, getting proposals specifically to that funding, which will last us, for
just because we have till 2022 to spend it, doesn't mean we have to wait that long.
That's true.
These people need money now. And, what I'm reading and researching, because I'm digging all the time because, of Frontline and my own program, in my community, and Mr. Thomas, all of us that are involved over here in our little corner of the world. And I know all you have your own little corners of the world. That's the fact that we're all trying to figure out how to help everybody. So we all have to, and my squirrel just left his hole, I'm sorry. But the CARES Act money. Oh no, here we go. All right, sorry. I have adult ADD, guys. Sometimes that happens. But from what I'm reading, now that the election is supposedly over, another funding is going to be rolling behind it, and I'm sure if it does, we're going to have more. Hopefully, prayerfully, we're having more that'll be rolling behind it, and we'll have more we have to spend by X dollar. But these people need help now, not by the end of 2022. They need it now. And so, Ms. Long, I agree. We got CARES Act money. We can look at it as well. But as Ms. Hill, Madam Chair, pointed out, we've got quite a bit in this budget as well. And the sounds like a long time, but with the holidays, we got a long ways to go, to short time to get there. Yeah,
and that's why I was thinking that in this particular budget, we already have a system in place that is serving folks, has been serving folks, is getting 10 calls a day, that rather than try to target this funding at a different model or different system, that we use the money in this budget for that line item. And then as we get new proposals, we can take those off for the CARES budget, which can start immediately also. The projects that are funded through the CARES budget, and that continue to take us back. So it's kind of for expedience purposes. We have a system, it's fully expended. We need more money in that budget to keep moving forward. So that's just my recommendation.
I have one question. Ms. Gillis, Ms. Siegler, Ms. Gordon, whoever can field this for, Ms. Mastrada. In our regular direct budget, if we is there a specific way we have to move this money? I know we have to do the changes and then file it with DEO, and I understand all of that. But if we have leftover money in certain areas, is there certain things that you can't move the money to a certain area? There are line items on there that you can't use this money for. Let's say you can't use education money for FEP. Let's say I'm just going to use those as an example. They have anything to do with each other.
To your question, we can move dollars that does not exceed 10% without a formal modification. But because of the the climate right now, even if it was above 10%, I believe that, and I'll let Kelly chime in, but I believe that DEO would be open to us moving any dollars that are needed to ensure that we're helping our community. So although I don't think we're going to go over the 10%, I think that if we were, to have a line item that we would have to move that would be over 10%, I would be willing to go to DEO and do that formal modification and move those dollars if that is the will of the board.
Now, is that the 10% of the line or 10% of the budget?
Kelly, help me.
Sorry for the trick question.
It's normally 10% of the line item.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Multiple 10%, but with my conversations with the DEO, they would not have any issue with us moving more than 10%.
Okay, so we're right now we're at crisis DEFCON 5 pretty much, so it's more asking forgiveness and permission kind of thing at this point. Is what you guys are saying.
Planning Chair Jennifer.
Yes.
Yeah, this is William. I think kind of going back to, if I'm understanding this correctly, Rose and others have been chiming in, is that you're right. The goal we should obviously have, and you've done an excellent job on this, is understanding what our options are. And like you said, pointing out the current climate and our options. Therefore, when it's time to get the judiciary part of the way, where we get the board to vote on it, we'll have all the options on the table. So I'm looking at this today as, yes, like Ms. Long pointed out, this is, and Ms. Gillis pointed out, this is a issue, and this falls within the role of what we do. And knowing that there are some things that we can move around, but knowing that, as Ms. Gillis pointed out, there's things we can do, they'll be willing to go to bat for, to make a significant movement of money to address a crisis that we are seeing and identifying. I think it's already a done deal. So I think right now, my mindset now is that, okay, we get the facts, we know what the funding pots are, where we stand. Therefore, when the call of action comes through, which we anticipate, unfortunately, is going to happen, that the board can immediately vote and not have a lot of a delay in that action. So excellent.
And I personally feel that at the, and matter of fact, I'm gonna write this down. I personally feel that, dadgummit, that at the meeting, now that this the College Explorers line, I apologize, I just flipped my page. I personally feel if we've used that $90,000, we pretty much we have pretty much exhausted that the line for the College Explorers. I feel like, in my opinion, and I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I think that we should suggest to the board that the monies that are left in that be moved to that crisis line now. And so that they have more money. If that 90,000 has been exhausted, let's show them where that 90,000 went and make them go, ooh, wow. And then say, hey, look, this has been, we have pecked this to death. Let's move that money down here. So that gives us more to do with this. I think if we show them, this is what we've done, these 12 phone calls that Ms. Gillis is getting a day, not that she's obviously probably being able to just help all 12, but the ones that she's being able to help, let's show them what that crisis, that 1,000 did, who they helped. And let's go ahead and that line item has been pecked to death. Let's move that balance, Mr. Thomas. Let's move that money down into crisis, so Ms. Gillis and Ms. Eagle, so the staff can continue until we can peck another line to death, and then take the balance and move it. And let's do that. Does that sound reasonable?
This is William chiming in again real quick. I think, and again, looking at the pots of funding that are available, and my vision is that we're going to have a board meeting in December.
Right.
What I would expect is all those lines would be expended within the next 30 days. And I believe it won't be too late. We make sure it's a point on the agenda, that we vetted out with our committees in November. And when we have this board meeting in December, I would, and again, not wishing anything bad, but, I would envision that there's going to be a clearly identified, that those funds are going to already be expended, and there'll be a clearly identified level of crisis, and we could, unanimously, as a board, look at making us whatever significant movement. Because what I don't want is just be pulling bits and pieces. I would rather, we spend those pots that have been allocated now. There's funds for crisis, and I would unfortunately expect that those funds will be zeroed out by December. And at that point in time, the board can have a clear picture of this is the level of crisis we're at. And in addition to the College Explorers funding, be able to vote on moving whatever funds that are required to address that need.
And I believe we should be able to move more. I'm just using that as an example.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But I think because we'll be meeting again before December, right? Before the December meeting. We should. Right?
Not the board.
No. Us, this little group here, we should be meeting again.
Yes.
Because I'm sorry, guys. I've been out beating doors in my community because I know I've been hearing from parents. I can't go back to work. My kids. Mr. Thomas, we've been hearing that over here. Because one thing, we have a problem. We have no Hillsborough County Parks and Recs programs open in Hillsborough County. All our Parks and Recs programs are shut down. Our beautiful buildings are empty with no staff. The closest one is Valrico, and guys, that's a long way away from us. The only option we have are programs like Plant City Parks and Recs, Boys and Girls Club, which is always packed to the max, and I actually went and talked to Locks of Hugs. It's an awesome program. Our advisory council has backed it, but it could expand. It has room to grow. It basically is a Parks and Recs program, only with an educational factor, a really great educational factor behind it. And I suggested to her that she put a proposal in so that she could expand her program to give these parents somewhere to help them be able to get back to work during the summer.
So Madam, I'm sorry, excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
So the new proposals that you're receiving, what I hear that we're saying is that we're not going to look at any new proposals under this current CSBG dollars. We're going to look at those new proposals under the CARES dollars so we can address the crisis need. So does those new proposals that you have fall under the one or multiple of the 5 criterias under the CARES Act budget?
The one I have the one that Miss Gordon received, I haven't received, I get them to Miss Gordon, obviously. The one that Miss Gordon received that we have now, I had asked her to send it to everyone. You all should have it from Plant City Parks and Recs. It would, because of the time thing, I'm not sure, Ms. Hill, if it's would fall under the regular budget or if it would fall under CARES Act, because it's for Parks and Recs and we have Parks and Recs money and we need.
Okay, so that's something that staff can vet out, because what I definitely don't want to see is that we have proposals on the table and we don't address them. But I do agree wholeheartedly that the crisis is only going to get worse. And the more people we can help under the crisis, I actually found out Saturday that the Tampa General, the rehab center for Tampa General is all COVID now. It's no longer a rehab center, it's a COVID center, and it's full.
I found out that Plant City Hospital.
So I definitely want to see us address the crisis, but I also want to make sure that, the proposals that plan evaluation has, that those are addressed and we can make sure that we address them under the CARES funding. So that's my only comment on that one.
Well, and this one is directly to me, in my opinion, is a CARES, it could be either. But I think it could be we've got that money we got to spend before March, but I'm not sure if it's with the date, the timing and the dates, if it would be under the current budget or under CARES, or if it would need to go into, that's something I would really need staff to tell us where with timing, where it would need to be spent. Because it's definitely Parks and Recs.
Yeah.
They expanded it to where it's children that live in unincorporated Hillsborough County, but they have to come into Plant City to go to Parks and Recs, because our county, which that's a whole different thing over here, we're county commissioners, why aren't these open?
Yeah.
For other kids in the rest of the county to go to Parks and Recs.
Ms. Sanderson, another thing that ties with that is that, remember, this regular CSBG ends now in March. The new CSBG is going to be coming in April. So it may be, if it does not fall into the CARES line, it would fall into the regular CSBG, that we're going to get more funding. And hopefully, I'm very hopeful that come April, we won't be in the dire straits we're right now. I just know that, you know, Thanksgiving's coming, Christmas is coming, and we just heard that the number of evictions that have been filed are in I don't even want to tell you the numbers. It's just ridiculous. And to know that these families for Thanksgiving and Christmas are not going to have a place to call their home is hard. I mean, it's hard to swallow. So anything that we can do, you know, to get those families secure would be amazing.
I absolutely agree, Ms. Gills, and that's why I was asking. I didn't know with this one proposal, because they had two, and that was their after-school program and then their summer program. For some reason, they decided to submit the summer program one first, and that was what I didn't know, Ms. Gillis, is the timing and how. When I read the proposal, and like I said, I had it sent to everybody else. My question to staff was: is this something that a proposal that is I don't know if you've read it. Obviously, you guys did read it and vet it, or I would have never got it. Is it something that because it is COVID related, people need to go back to work, you know, but is it something that we would address now with money between now and March, because they expand their program, or is it a CARES Act thing, or is it something that we would, you know, shelve, not turn down, not deny, but just shelve until the next budget comes out? Because I'm with you. We can get some rent. So that girl today, man, she broke my heart. If you're doing that, God love you. I'll pray for you every day, because that just tore me apart. And I do see a lot of it. So I'm with you, Ms. Gillis, totally. So I need your guidance to tell me, hey, Jen, let's throw this one on a shelf until a little closer to school getting out. And when the next budget comes, and then we can do this. We're not turning it down. We're just going to shelve it for a second. You know, I need your guidance.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe Ms. Gordon can dive into a little bit more and see if it falls under, like Ms. Hill said, under the CARES titles. And if it does, we can move forward that way. And if not, then we can kind of, you know, come back to the board and say, you know, this is where we're at. This is what we're seeing. I know that our call center has doubled the number of calls that we normally receive. It's gotten to the point where, you're right, Ms. Anderson, we're not helping all the people that are calling because it's impossible. We don't have the money. But if we can redirect at least some dollars to help these families that are being evicted and take them out of that crisis, I think that would be key.
Yeah, because we got 19,000 left there, and I'm guesstimating. I'm just doing a little pencil research, and then 50. Well, how much did we say we're going to have left in Parks and Rec? 28, roughly.
28,500 roughly.
Okay, so 28,500 roughly. So that's like 40. I'm rough figures, Kelly. So I know you're a number girl, and you, Miss Hill, and Mr. Thomas, but I'm just going to spit it here. Basically, 20, 28, 48, about $47,000. If we can do it through CARES or wait till the next budget, whichever you guys think is the best idea. This particular proposal, which is all I have now. So that's going to give us like $47,000 we can put into the crisis fund. That would be awesome.
So Madam Chair, at the anticipation of Ms. Mastrada giving us, you know, a guesstimate of where we are with the budget on our next meeting. We'll have a better idea. But I have another call in about 5 minutes. It's on that computer on that side of my desk. I am waiting for them to come online. But I wasn't at the last meeting, and I do know that I got notice from the Housing Authority that they were approved for a budget of $45,000, and I have not heard, nor have I seen what line did that money come out of?
Oh, we took that out of CARES Act. We took it out of CARES Act.
So it came out of CARES Act. So it does not.
Okay.
It does not come out of this physical budget for CSBG. Okay,
Yeah,
I just want to make sure I have my numbers correct.
I sat down and Miss I think it was Miss Gordon. Miss Gordon will correct me if I'm wrong. I believe she discussed it with Miss Gillis Ziegler, and we came out, and when we went into the meeting, the board meeting, we just decided that we had enough money in that I'm going to call it the Explorers program, because that's the line I call that, you know, that the EPIC could come out of that, leave it a little bit, take the whole 45 out of CARES Act, and we don't have to do that, take a little here, take a little there, do all that stuff, you know.
So it came out of CARES educational assistance. Sharon Kelly.
I believe it came out of youth development, if I'm correct. It could fit either category, actually.
It's an e-learning support and education assistance. So those are the only two places it could have come out of based on the proposal. So I wanted to make myself a note.
I apologize. I didn't go to my office. I was on vacation all week. I didn't go to my office. I don't have my papers with me. I apologize.
Okay, no problem. But ladies and gentlemen, as I say, I do need to move on, but I did want to be a part of the meeting. And thank you, Jennifer, for all you're doing, and William for all you're doing on budget and finance. I think we're good. We're moving forward, and we're going to zero out our line item, which is very important to me, and I'm sure to all of us by the time frame. So,
but Madam Chair, real quickly, I think we can move realistically roughly about $47,000 into that crisis line if we do it that way. So. Okay. But I'm gonna let staff throw that ball against the wall a little while and tell me if I'm crazy or not. I mean, I know I am, but maybe just not about this.
and the only thing that I'm gonna suggest is that we leave it very open as crisis assistance, because what we found is that every family's needs are a little differently. And I think if we tie ourselves to, we're gonna pay their rent or whatever it may be, it kind of limits us. But if we leave it as a crisis, any crisis that a family were to, come to us with that we're able to assist, then we would be able to use that line item. So my suggestion from staff is to leave it as just crisis, and that way we can determine, individually what the crisis is per family.
I absolutely agree. Don't put us in a box. Don't put us in a box.
And Ms. Anderson, this is Sharon. I would like to also add, I read through the proposal from the Parks and Recreation Plant City. They're asking for $19,230. However, their registration starts in March. Our grant ends at the end of March. So that timeline is unreal. It's really risky for us to go into partnership with this grant. I recommend the 2021 regular grant, not CSBG Cares, because it doesn't necessarily fit cleanly with any of the categories with CSBG Cares.
But do you agree that it is a good proposal? I mean, it's good expansion of the program. We're using unincorporated Hillsborough. I say we because I'm Plant City. I don't mean we like I work for Parks and Recs. But I from what I was reading in the proposal, it seemed like a good purpose. So to me, and that's what I was reading too, was the dates, and that's what kind of got me going, that doesn't look like it's going to fit in this budget. So I in my opinion, would be just like put it on a shelf, and then when the next budget comes out, then pull it back out and take it to the board. Is that what you're suggesting, Ms. Gordon?
I suggest it. On the surface, it does look good. However, staff, we need to vet through it just to make sure that just from being a county entity and all the requirements that we have and a lot of questions in regards to administrative costs, et cetera, we have to vet this just to make sure that it lines up. But on the surface, it looks great. But like I said, we have to dive deeper into it.
Okay. And like I said, they have an after school program as well. Again, with CARES Act, these parents, we have schools over here that don't have host programs because they don't have people to staff it. You know, so the after school programs we have karate studios and stuff that are doing after school programs because our schools aren't doing them. You know, they've gone to that point because the parents can't afford these daycares over here shot out. I don't know where they're getting their numbers from, but they're taking advantage, honestly. But so that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, you know, we need to. It is a very important component for the summer, so these parents can continue to work and pay their bills. So we're not paying them, you know. But you know, there's some others as well. And I implore the board and all the people on the board, let's find these proposals that are going to help solve the problems, so we are not having people more and more in crisis and the growing number of homeless families living in cars. I got a family. Well, they're not anymore, yay! But I did have a family, a very large family, living in a tent in the woods, and so you know. They were taking very good care of their family, children getting bathed, going to school, everything else. But, you know, they do what they have to do, you know, especially us country folks out here.
Yeah, what we're finding, Ms. Anderson, and I'm sure that Ms. Long and Ms. Hill are finding the same thing. These are new customers. These are customers that have never been on our books. These are people that were working, you know, kids were going to school, everything was great. But unfortunately, a disaster has happened and now they're, you know, coming to our doors. And what's sad is that most of them don't know how to go through the system. And when they finally get through the system and they get a no because there's no funding, that's heartbreaking. So
yeah,
if we could help those people that, you know, have never been through our doors, you know, because of this, now they're through our doors. And if we could help them, that would be amazing.
I did a case plan the other day on an architect that lives in Walden Lake, which is a very affluent neighborhood, which is our affluent neighborhood here. And let me tell you, the humbling of this man, it's and him explaining to me how much it's actually changing his life for the positive, believe it or not, sharing with me how it made him really appreciate family and that kind of thing. It was phenomenal. But the way he could find the silver lining in the tragedy he was living in. But it was devastating for him. You're right, Ms. Gillis. These people have no idea. They've never had to deal with this. They've had to face it. It's tragic. It really is. It's horrible. And now we're reading in the papers, seeing on the news, hundreds of thousands of people getting it, thousands dying already. It's like, are you serious? Our little hospital here in Plant City, I don't know if y'all heard me, I said it. Their ICU is filling back up with COVID patients. And that's bad. And I can only imagine that the bigger hospitals over where you guys are is doing the same thing. So anyways, so if you guys read that proposal, it was a good one. If you haven't read it, please read it. But we're going to shelve it, sounds like. Because it's a really great program. So guys, I implore you, if you do have proposals that we can use this CARES Act money on, let's do it. But Ms. Mistrada, if you could, you know, adjust all that with the budget and everything, and so our next meeting we can perhaps move that. What I'm guesstimating, Ms. Mistrada, about $47,000 into that crisis. I think Ms. would make Ms. a little happier.
Ms. Anderson, she just gave me a rough, and it's about 43.
Well, okay, well, I was a little off, you know.
So still, that's going to help a lot of families. That's a big, you know, it won't help everybody, but it'll put a little dent.
I'm sitting at my table with a crayon and one of these little paper bags. Okay, so do I get a pass for that? Okay, I didn't go to my office.
Yeah, you do. I was way off also, so I don't feel bad.
I was only $4,000 off with a crayon and a little paper bag, so I think I did pretty good. But thank you, Ms. Gills, for sharing that with us. And I would really like to, I think if the board saw where that 90,000 went, they would go like, whoa. because I don't think they really can see the impact unless they can look at it. Kind of one of those touchy, if you touch it, you feel it, you see it, you know.
Yeah, what I'm thinking we're going to be doing is, and I need to jump on another call, but what I think we'll do as staff is we'll give like an overall picture of how many people we assisted and all that good stuff. And then maybe like a true story of, you know, one of the families that we heard from and what happened.
Okay, awesome. That sounds wonderful. Thank you so much.
Ms. Anderson and Mr. Thomas,
Yeah.
we are at our time. Are we?
That's what I was to say. Pretty much, it says here Department of Social Services update, and I think we pretty much got those from everybody. Does anybody, Ms. Ziegler, do you have anything?
She is on a EOC call because of the storm.
Okay, everybody's already gone, so it looks like Ms. Gordon's given us pretty much all of her. Does anybody have anything to add before Derek kicks us out?
We can't hear Mr. Thomas.
Anybody? All right, well, that being said, it is 3:30 on the dot, Mr. Guida, and I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Be safe out there.